Hi, and welcome to Hanging Out on Monday Nights. How's it going? We've got a nice cast in here tonight. We've got a nice variety of people. Jay is joining us from Chicago.
Jay,
which is, where he's just at tonight. Right down the road from me. I didn't even know he was there. We've got Eric, we've got John, Bill, Kevin, Buddy, and Mikey Mike's here tonight.
Hey, Mike.
So I made a post on Facebook that I thought it might be fun to riff on. Something I thought of this afternoon or this evening, I guess. I just threw it up there. But the more I'm thinking about it, the more that, us as DJs could probably talk about this. And I know not all of you have experience with this, but some of you do. And if you don't, I think you can reason this out and I think you'll get it. I made a statement and I'll read it to you. Let me pull it up.
To whom it may concern.
To whom it may concern.
It was the best of times.
Put the money in the trash can at the park.
The VIP killed nightclubbing. It no longer mattered how cool you were as long as you had money. Bite me.
100%.
Yes.
Why?
Because the wrong crowd suddenly showed up and they had money to buy bottles and models and tables, and the real lovers of music were pushed aside. I mean, just look at a club now. Nobody dances. They stare at the DJ. I just saw a post that a normal DJ put up, like one of us, who was doing a gig and had a good, packed dance floor in a nightclub, and no one was dancing. They were just staring at him. And I'm kind of like, dude, you're one of us. That's the most uncomfortable thing. It looked like he was at a DJ convention, but it was a lot of girls. And I just thought, how sad. If I had to open a nightclub tomorrow, the DJs that are old enough to remember would be excited because they'd be like, where's the booth? I'm like, it's up there. But the crowd can't see me. 100%.
Right. It doesn't, we
They don't need to see you. They need to hear you. Junior Vasquez at the tunnel. Do you need to see him or do you need to hear him? Because there it was famously heard everywhere.
I saw a real interesting comment. Somebody was 29 years old and they're saying, I go to clubs. I only go to clubs when I want to see the DJ or my friends have VIP. And I was like, when I was going to the clubs, the DJ, his name might have been Tim. I don't know. I never saw the guy, but we were there to socialize with good music in the background and dance. But it's just very different. Now, Kevin, did you ever go out even to bars or anything? Was there ever a time in your life where you went out and had some fun?
I was more reserved, so I didn't get out very much. I grew up on the family farm, so I was
okay.
Cow tipping.
Yes, that was our idea of a good time. Cow tipping and everything.
Sure.
So, but no, it makes sense. In this area, clubs are having a hard time, or just alcoholic places, because the cops are just roaming the streets at 2 in the morning. So it just sort of has killed the industry as a whole.
Well, what about bars? Did you ever go to bars?
I did on occasion, just to see what it was like. But around here, it was, because we're in a rural market, it was more like, I'm going to go to the bar, I'm going to drink, I'm going to dance, I'm going to have a good time. I think
you know what? That's what clubs used to be, Kevin. And that's why I brought it up, because if you've ever been to my house, Shay's been to my house, and Buddy kind of knows the vibe around here. There's a bar on every corner. Not a club, but a bar. And they're packed. People are there. And I'm wondering, because I'm thinking back to when I was in my 20s and I was going out. Bars were for old people. We didn't go to bars because you couldn't dance there.
Right.
People didn't get real dressed up to go to a bar. Bar was a casual thing. But now, everybody is equal at a bar. It's kind of like the clubs used to be. You walk into a bar, everyone's entitled to sit at a bar stool. There's never anybody who, you can't sit there because you didn't pay this extra money to sit at this bar stool.
A bar is not going to have a VIP, but a bar can be a flip, and they can pull all the furniture outside and sit it in the loading dock and make a dance floor out of where everyone was just eating pasta 45 minutes ago. I've seen that happen.
There's a bar in Miami called My Living Room. I think it's called My Living Room. It looks like a big living room, but I saw Josh Wink play there. I mean, it was crazy. Like half the people were dancing, the other half was sitting on furniture, just zoning out.
Uh-huh.
And it was trying to bring that whole thing back. The other thing that's changed dramatically is we went in when there was 3 beers on tap, 2 bottles of tequila, Jack Daniels, Jameson. You know, they had 12 bottles behind the bar and then a backup. Now you go in and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm drinking a 9.6% IPA," and it's become like a connoisseur thing. Like you could open a bar in your neighborhood that only serves beer and wine.
Yeah, we have them.
It'd be a huge success.
Yeah.
Back in the day, beer and wine bars were kind of like they'd either lost their license or there was a problem because like you only drank 4 beers. How could you have a bar that only served those 4?
Well, the alcohol was not the draw ever. And to my recollection, to a club, I'm going to this club because they serve this. No, we're going to this club because the girls from Marquette University go to this club.
That's one thing. High Street, down at Ohio State on campus. that was the cool place. You got down on the high street and you just went bar hopping from bar to bar, club to club, up and down the street. But what happened is money came in and they closed them down, tear them down. Now it's Eddie George owns this club. So then all of a sudden the pricing goes from everybody can afford it to the higher Richie Rich, are going to school on campus. They can afford it. So it sort of limits your market. And then it's more of just hey, I'm there to be seen, pick up chicks, talk to chicks, not so much dancing.
Well, I have no problem with that. It's an activity.
Well, no, I don't either.
But now you're going to show up with bands. You don't have bands of hundreds to let them look at you at the front door.
But I think a lot of clubs today turned around. It's no longer VIP. It's just the norm. So there's no VIP to it. Everybody goes in and gets bottle service. Everybody goes in and sits at a table. It's normal to pay $600 and sit down.
In the old days, if you were cool, you got in. If you weren't, you didn't.
But if
it didn't matter how much money you had in your pocket.
Very cool, and that wasn't an everyday thing.
I remember going to clubs and knowing, and just you meet people, right? And you didn't know much about them until you left and saw what kind of car they got into. That's when you kind of knew, oh, they got money, or oh, okay. Now everybody shows up in an Uber, you can't tell anyway.
Yeah.
Well, and they don't dress the part either. People used to dress up to go out.
Yeah.
We dressed up. I mean, I would go to
kind of like church in that regard. I mean, I don't know hate, but
Jay would go to Tello's and buy the best thing they had.
Go watch Saturday Night Fever, and they're like driving a shitbox car,
and
they're dressing up.
Yeah,
their shoes are shined, and they look
Yeah,
they're crisp.
I mean, John, especially from Southie area. You had a crease in your jeans. You would iron a crease in everything. You showed up. Things matched. You went to Tello's.
Eric's club had corduroys. Yeah.
Corduroys.
What's that sound?
Put a crease in corduroys. You took it to the next level.
Well, I know Mikey.
I'm just saying.
And a velour shirt.
Oh.
Mikey was out there.
We're not going back to the 60s.
Having some fun in his day. I've seen his pictures.
Big collars.
You were going somewhere to have some fun.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we started off at the bar because like the VFW beers were cheap. There was an assortment of beers, and then you got a half a jag on. You went up to the club and you had 1 or 2 beers. That was it. It was too expensive, and you just hung out. And
pre-gaming, right? Absolutely. Yep.
You were anonymous, though. You could have been a millionaire. You could have been a homeless person.
Money wasn't the thing back then, was it? We didn't really talk. We just were there in the moment. You didn't get you didn't get really deep into like
it's who was cool and who's not.
Yeah.
Who looks like they're put together well.
It's the door guys. If they didn't like the look of you, then you're not getting in. You didn't dress the part, or you don't look like you fit. Like
you couldn't buy yourself into.
It's judge and jury. It was Judge Dredd at the door. Like no, bang, that's it.
And it became this acquisition thing, or this like status thing, like getting on an airplane, which personally I never understood. The plane's going to leave when the plane leaves. Who cares who gets on first and gets off first? It's not going to take off any sooner if you have higher status.
My friend Karl Marx brings up a great point about especially flying and making it a social environment. No,
I'm sorry. I'm too close to home for you there.
No, you spend an extra $400 to get on the plane faster.
There's 9 groups. I've worked my way up to group 4. I'm pretty proud of that.
I'm sorry. It's very important to have status on flights.
One way to get into the club around here is if you knew the DJ and he'd give you a pass to get in. And then, if the bouncer just looked, you just shove him past, boom. I mean, you could look like a piece of shit that night. Just came out of work and you're going in. All these other guys are sitting there, or ladies are sitting there all dressed up. And
that was the vouch. Well, somebody vouched for you. So you're good. Yeah.
No, the way I remember it, and if you remember it the same way, please let me know. The places that I would go, regardless if it's a bar or a club or whatever, you went there because of who else went there.
Yeah.
And they were the draw, not the DJ. I mean, the music was cool, and you'd want to hear certain music at certain places. And any place that wasn't stupid would play good music, or people would leave. But you knew this group of people, or this group of girls, or this group of guys would be there, so that's why you went there.
Yeah. But it was set up by area. Like there was a bar called, Bill know this, John might, called the Vogue that was in Melrose. Yes. And you went to the Vogue because there was a lot of divorcees and there was a certain crowd. And you went to Revere
right next to the Palace.
Yeah, you got a certain crowd.
Yeah.
But the big clubs in Boston were down on Lansdowne.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember being there in my early 20s and it was just people dancing and talking and hanging out. And I don't even know where the DJ booth was, to be honest.
And the design of the club was the point to keep
way away from the. It was. The playing venue was. Think of a hockey rink. Now picture where the goaltender would be. Now just go a little bit to the left. That's where the DJ booth was, looking over this long ass.
Right.
That's why it's just like they don't know where you are. Unless they knew where you were, they're not going to find you.
Random. Really want to record the song. Your question was, "Where's the DJ booth?" Because you didn't know.
Well, and you know
it wasn't important.
You're touching on something that goes with what your initial statement was. I remember back in the day, if you had enough buzz going and you were fired up talking to a girl who's telling you how much she had to hear a song, you would make your way to figure out with a 10 spot, dude, you got to play this song. It's going to totally get me something.
Yeah.
Now, the entitled young kids come up to you with their phone and demand a song for no other reason.
They're very entitled.
Then they feel, hey, it's my club the same as yours. It's like, no, sweetie.
Can you skip this song?
Oh, you kidding me? They come up to you now like you're the Uber Eats guy, and they just hold the phone up and stand there with
it. Now it's
conversation so overrated.
Really is bad.
You write your song on $100 bill. It's getting played next. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Look how many memes we see about DJs talking. And the other thing I don't understand is, and if I don't do clubs like some of you do, but what I do not understand is when I see these DJs in a DJ booth and there's like 30 people in the booth with them to the point where they're spilling drinks on the gear, where they're right on top of it. Is that some sort of like a bougie VIP statement? Like,
it's a new
I'm
thing.
So good, I'm with the DJ?
I think that's a new phenomenon. The other thing that's new, which is
because I would be like, get out of my booth.
No, the club that I work at now, occasionally, I'm not there. I'm there very occasionally, but when I'm there, if someone else has worked, I hear about it, and they'll say, "Oh yeah, so and so worked, and they brought this entourage, and they didn't pay." I'm like, "What do you mean they didn't pay?" It's like, "Oh yeah, that the bill's taken care of. It's the DJ's entourage." I never bring anybody into the place to drink for free.
Oh, well,
or hang out in the booth.
There's a bar in Boston called Vu, and we were there the other night. We were spinning, and there's a whole section behind the booth that has couch, chairs, tables, and it's made for people, VIPs, to go back there and hang. It's kind of like a green room.
Yeah.
Right behind the DJ.
I got a table too, and if somebody I know comes in, like Buddy was sitting in it. Buddy was sitting at my table one night. And I mean, but it wasn't like I brought 50 people up there.
But there's a difference to the attention span too. It's like, are they behind you and out of sight for the rest of the place, or is it right up next to you where everybody can see me? Because I think that's what they want, is they want to be seen in the same points as the DJ.
Buddy was in a cage. Where you belong.
But you know what, John? It's social media. We didn't have the opportunity.
Thanks. I'm in a cage.
Sorry. No, it is. It's an armory. It's with bars and windows.
I kind of don't blame them a little because they have social media, so they can post. Here I am standing next to DJ Acme.
I know.
Look how cool I am. We didn't have a way to do that. I mean, I don't think I legitimately have I was telling my kids, talking about social media, I don't think there's proof of life. I don't think I have a photo of me from like 21 to maybe 25.
Yeah,
I really don't.
A couple of
girls might, but I didn't get them.
In the
like
80s,
girls have them. Yeah.
No, some girlfriend would be like, "Let's take a photo." Great. I didn't
just like
say
wedding photography. You're never going to see it. Yeah.
No,
I wanted to first say go back a few minutes and talk about what Mikey had said, because we used to do the same thing. In fact, even when Blanca and I were going out, 20 years ago or whatever it was, we would go to her mom's bar, in kind of the barrio, and we'd drink, and then we would go to the club. So we saved, so we did the same thing. It was just because, we're not made of dough. But I was also going to ask Buddy, I mean, there was a time a long, long time ago when you actually went out. I know there was. There had to have been. You actually did something other than go to church, DJ people's wedding receptions.
Man.
Before you refunded everybody.
The thing is that my big thing is that because I can't drink, I'm allergic to alcohol. So I can't go out and partake in adult beverages. So, I go to when I just go to the clubs, and then I start getting, in the DJ booth to hang out and spun sometimes, with the other guys who I knew that were DJing, and they're like, "Hey, DJ a little bit." I'm like, "Okay, fine, great." When I started to do that and get into that more and more, I'd have a couple glasses of pop, and that was it. But it was always there to hanging out, having fun. Yeah, and it was enjoying the dance floor, getting out there, having fun. And I'm sorry I haven't been in a club in a while, but I'm hearing this. It's making me sad.
Yeah, it's
because
sad.
These kids have no. And again, I use that term loosely, but these 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds who are standing there watching the DJ like it's a play of some kind. They should be enjoying themselves, having fun with each other and dancing and enjoying the music versus watching it like it's, Major League Baseball or a football game or something like that.
You're right.
It's not that impressive.
My attitude as a wedding DJ is kind of from being a young club DJ where it was like, look, don't pay attention to me. Pay attention to each other.
Right. I'm not the broadcast. I'm just doing what I do.
This is not the BSR show. This is your party.
I think it's an extension of kids nowadays. It used to be the kids would in the neighborhood. They're going over to that guy's kid's place, and we're going to play basketball. Now it's every kid as they're growing up, they're isolated. They're texting. They're doing that, and so it's just as they've gotten older, they really haven't learned to socialize as much.
Yeah.
And I really feel that social media, the whole entire thing of social media, that people are stuck on their phones, looking at their phones and watching it and looking at it, and they're bored and they're over here doing whatever. I feel that right there is hurting clubs and restaurants and bars because
and
you go into a bar, again, I know, Brian, you're not a big sports fan, but us people who are sports fans, we go in there, maybe want to watch a game, whatever game it is. Or you go into a bar, they may have, I've been to plenty of bars, they have like one channel on the TV Food Network because people are watching it. It just happens that way. And it's, people go in there to have fun, decompress, and socialize with their friends, talk and have a drink. But then you have these, it's like the Gen Zers and the millennials. They're on their phone the whole entire time. They're next to someone. Talk to them. They're not going to bite you. You're there to socialize with them personally.
John, you'll relate to this. So John and I, we do a lot of work at a restaurant called Davio's. And talking to Steve, the owner, they lose basically one turn a night to social media because they're too busy taking pictures of the food, taking selfies with the food, doing this with the food. By the time they're done and they actually start eating, they've chewed up enough time throughout the night. They lose an actual turn.
Yeah, you cost the restaurant an actual flip.
Oh, I can imagine.
One other thing I saw talking, going back to the restaurant and club and bar thing is, I don't know how true it is. Again, I'm not out there at I'm not at restaurants. I don't see it at restaurants when I go to it with my wife. But I guess the big thing with restaurants and bars is now single dining. Like they now have sections for it in some restaurants. It's just a single person with himself having dinner. And it's like, you
I
don't
see
have
Kevin waving to himself over there like, that's
come have
me.
dinner.
I'm that guy in the corner. That's me in the corner.
Jay, I got some White Claws. I'm gonna come visit you with them. Okay.
let me just interrupt here.
Hey, friend, let's go. You know,
for just a minute. Let me tell you how cool it used to be. For those of you who never experienced clubbing before bottle service, I'll tell you a story, and this is a 100% true story. I go to a club one night, and it's a real cool place. Everybody's dressed, just dripped out, you know, appropriate, not overly dressed, but they're dressed cool, right? And there's this girl. Everybody's watching her. Every guy wants to dance with her. She's just gorgeous.
I'm going to be the voiceover guy real quick. I'm playing Latin music.
It's the center of attention, right? And I'm like, all right, I don't know. No way. So later on the night, I meet this other girl, and I start talking to her. And long story short, she introduced me to her friend, who is the center of attention girl. Oh. And we've been together for 22 years.
And her name was Blanc.
That's how cool there we go. It used to be. You used to be able to go out and meet someone like that. It wasn't about taking pictures of each other or
how much you spend to get a priority slot.
No, and we were both poor as hell, but you wouldn't know it because we were dressed. It had nothing to do with how much money we had.
But that's my point earlier, Brian. You went out and you presented yourself the way you wanted to be.
Yeah.
To be with people and be in that zone. Whereas now,
but you also acted the part. It wasn't just cosplay. You acted the part.
Right.
You were either cool or you weren't.
The poor areas around Boston that I knew people in, they'd be like 8 people in a house, but someone would have a brand new Mustang GT, but they'd live with their parents.
Yeah.
And there was this whole thing. I came from, I see you driving a 78 Aspen wagon with a little bit of rust, but I had an apartment.
Right.
So for me, getting an apartment was a priority over getting a car.
Right.
But we were all kind of in the same thing. We all went to the same stores. Oh, that's really cool. The jacket matches the pants, and I can wear these white Tom McCanns. Oh, this is cool. I'm going to go have fun. And I mean, if I could open a club tomorrow, when you got to the door, I would simply say, see this lock bag? Your phone goes in it. Excuse me? Yeah. Here's a digital throwaway one-use camera. You can take all the photos tonight you want, but you can't use your phone to take photos.
They do it at concerts.
You would build a following of people that go, oh, this is awesome. I don't have to be judged in the moment.
They would have to want to do it. And, you know, somebody recommended a film to me recently. Our friend Will, who comes in here. It's called Cruisin'. And it takes place in 1987 in Queens and Brooklyn, I believe. And they're
this
driving
one with Al Pacino?
No, not the game Cruiser. Right? No, not Cruising. Cruisin'. It's like it's like on Freevee and the Roku channel and everything else. It's hilarious, and it's got the best freestyle soundtrack ever. Oh. But they're just out cruising around. Yeah, they're doing other things too, but they're just having fun. And he meets this girl, and she says that she's from Queens or whatever, and you know they get together. Come to find out, she's totally not. She's way out on Long Island. She's got tons of dough, but none of that mattered, you know.
Right.
And when I watch South Park, and this sounds really stupid, but they always talk about Kenny. He's the poor one. Oh, Kenny, he's poor. We never said that about anybody in our group. And there were people in our group didn't have much, but we never said that because it didn't matter. They were cool. It was about just being cool. Was it about dough? Was it about status? It was just about being cool.
We stuck together.
We're probably the last gen. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, kids, you're missing out because this was fun. You really missed out. This was just an amazing thing. And all of us are kind of the same generation, so I thought it'd be a fun topic to bring up.
Go to the club, act like you belong, don't be obnoxious, and have a great time. And you don't necessarily have to be on a balcony with bottle service.
Yeah. We're the last generation that you could talk to 4 kids when you were little, What's your dad do? He's a doctor. What's your dad do? He's a trash man. What's your dad do? He's a lawyer. What's your dad do? He's an astronaut.
Yeah.
Your dad gets to take that trash truck and lift that big thing up and have it come. Like, we didn't think in relationship to class.
Right.
We just thought, like, cool. You meet a girl, it's like at a club dancing. You didn't grill her about, like, hey, before we dance or kiss or do anything else, I got this form I'd like you to fill out.
You need to see a portfolio.
Maybe your family.
Like
You can tell me where you've gone on vacation. And that's where some of the great, just like you said about meeting Blanca, that's where the great relationships come from. Buddy,
talking to people.
And Buddy, by the way, because I'm in Chicago, I am drinking for Buddy. And I did go to a place tonight where they know Buddy.
That tomato sauce?
It is. It's great. They knew Buddy. I mentioned Buddy Mueller, buddy of mine. They go, oh, he used to come here back in the day. I'm like, he doesn't drink. No, but he had a bad habit of walking up to girls going, hey, does this smell like chloroform? And I'm like, really? Because I didn't think Buddy would do that. I just, he came off a lot more like just nice about things. But we all got our
to Chicago.
Yeah. The thing about a club back then to a club today, if you walked in with an attitude or arrogant, you'd be an asshole.
Right. Regardless of how much money you had in your pocket.
They bounce you. Yeah.
They just bounce
get them out of here.
Yeah.
Brian, the clubs you went to, were they a restaurant for the week and then on Friday, Saturday they were a club? Or were these actual clubs that only operated as a club?
Oh, club.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we
That's the other tough thing in today's economics.
Yeah.
If you open an actual nightclub, like in California, you get about a 2.5-year window where after 2.5 years, the kind of magic luster is gone. You have to either close and rename or do something. So now I see more and more people are trying to I'm a restaurant that's a cool nightclub.
That makes sense. I mean, it makes financial sense.
It's harder
in the bar, though. It takes away the love of,
It does.
Patty O'Shaughnessy was pounding whiskey at 10 this morning. Now
it wouldn't be like Bill's RJ, where you go in and the odor.
Well, a lot of it, honestly, today in today's real estate market, I mean, you got to make your money where you can make it.
You do, because the rents are just so outrageous.
But this started off in the
80s, and back in the 80s and 90s, there were still parts of town that weren't dangerous yet were depressed. So you could have a cool club there, and it wouldn't cost you a lot in taxes or real estate or rent or anything.
Right. Real estate and the property.
Now everything
you have a warehouse-sized building in a bad part of town.
Yeah, anywhere that's cool, anything that doesn't cost a lot is just dangerous. Anything that is nice costs a lot, so it's different. But we had two in particular that were pretty cool. We had two downtown. One was Park Ave, had been around since. Opened about the same time Studio 54 opened. It was like Milwaukee Studio 54. And I got in on the tail end of Park Avenue. Then it changed owners into, was it Nitro? And then it became a place called, it was Bermuda's, then Nitro. And those I frequented. There was another place called Club Maryland. And Club Maryland opened, I think in 87. And the premise was, this is a nightclub for what are now boomers. It was a place for them to go and hear their music. So it wasn't for kids. It was for grown-ups. But the young people came in there and took over Saturdays, Sundays. The only boomer nights were Fridays. And that place was amazing. They just tore it down to build a skyscraper. It was around for a long time. It changed names a couple times. And my son-in-law's family was part owner in that. So we had those clubs. And then the other clubs, the ones that I never saw go the bottle route, the good clubs, great music, never went the bottle route that I noticed were the gay nightclubs. They were always, you walk in the door, everyone's equal.
They've got the money, but they're not going to put up with that crap.
Yeah.
That's not their thing.
No.
They don't want the entitlement bullshit.
Having DJed a lot of gay clubs, they're just not they'll get a bottle and they'll stand at the bar with the $600 bottle of champagne and sip out of it. They don't need a table and look at me.
Right. Everybody's everybody. They're
into the fun.
Just everyone's the same. If you're cool, you get in. If you're not, you don't. And that's the thing. You don't go in there to see people don't belong there. You see people who belong there.
Yeah.
No, it's gotten bad. I think I'm going to New York on Wednesday, and one of the venues that I didn't make my last trip because I have a new list of places to go: Danceteria, Limelight, Tunnel, Twilo. But Tunnel is the interesting one because I did I'd never been there. I'd been to Xenon, which is the 54th element on the periodic table. And I went there when I was in college with some girls from Long Island. Xenon was opened as an answer to 54.
Okay.
And it ran from like 79 to 84. But when I started researching places to go when I get to the city, Tunnel came up and I looked at the pictures. It's a tunnel.
Yeah.
Like it's like the loading dock of a warehouse.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look up the tunnel, like the place where Junior Vasquez and all these guys used to spin. It's literally a long tunnel.
And it's still there.
It's the building, I think, is still there. The club is long gone. But it was one of these marathon clubs that would go till Monday morning at noon.
Right.
I would love to have been at Paradise Garage, the loft, where you solely went for I don't think there's a club on this planet today, even Ibiza or Ibiza, whatever, that you can look at and say, this solely exists for the love of the music.
Well, the music was what attracted the people, and you went for the people. So there was a lot of people who I knew that weren't necessarily into the music that was being played as much as I was, but they were into the vibe, and the vibe attracted a certain clientele.
Yeah, it's a vibe.
Who wanted to meet a girl?
Went. Well, it didn't matter. I mean, it could meet anybody or just be around a certain. Look, I learned a lot from people going to clubs. I mean, I'd have intelligent conversations with these people. I mean, men, women, whatever. You go out to eat afterwards. It's amazing times.
Go to Bigfoot's
times. Just
if you're young, go watch Saturday Night Fever. It's a great example of what club life used to be.
Saturday Night Fever is not a good example of what club life.
No, not in the example
54
you're giving.
is probably a better example of what club life used to be.
No, I'm saying it's a good example of what it was like for people in their lives to be like excited about going to a place.
Yeah, it was the thing. You waited all week.
It then grew from that.
Yeah, Loverboy had the song "Working for the Weekend." It's really about that. I mean, because everyone worked for the weekend.
So, Brian, I have a quick question then. Do you think that it will go back to what it was before? Maybe not this current generation, but maybe the next generation says, "Hey, we want to dance. We want to go back to where it used to be."
I think it would be neat if it did. A lot of things would have to change socially for that to even be a thing. But I will say this: if it happens, it's going to be 2 generations from now, and they're going to really piss off their Gen Z parents, because their Gen Z parents are not going to get it. It's just like my parents didn't get what I was doing. You know, I totally get what my kids are doing, and I think my kids are boring. But I think it's going to be that thing, and the Gen Z parents are going to be really upset. They're going to be offended. They're not going to get it. Kids,
like you said, Brian, everybody's standing on the dance floor. This is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're not dancing. They're not moving.
They're in bottle service right behind the booth, barking out songs at you all night. And you're like, you know what? Shut the fuck up.
Well, I will say this. I don't blame these clubs. I don't blame these clubs for having VIP bottle service. It's money. But the unfortunate repercussions of this have been kind of the death of the spirit of what this was supposed to be.
So when we went down to conference, we were down with Chuck, and we went next door for one of the nights. And I can't tell you how many bottles went through that club.
Yeah, it was stupid. We were there.
Huge moneymaker.
Bill and I were there. Oh God, I think it was it Monday night? Yeah. We were there, and we hopped VIP booths, and there was a constant flow of alcohol. You're absolutely right. There was somebody who kept bringing like
a bottle. Oh, let me
bottles of things.
Let me get a bottle.
Well, that's an upcharge. That's you paid X to get in, but that's a bump every time you want more.
$300 to $600.
Yeah, the place is making bank, so they don't care.
Yeah,
I think it's gotten lower. 10 years ago, I went to Hakkasan with my wife, Pulse, and his wife for my birthday. And it was the only time in 20 years I've ever used this to get me in a club. And I went to this and said, hey, the 4 of us are going to Vegas to celebrate my 50th. I want to get in this club. I want VIP. I want in the club. And they said, no problem. Done. Phone call. You're on the list. You're in. In fact, we're going to give you a booth. Nope, I'm good. No, we're giving you a booth, give you a bottle, get a waitress, the whole deal. They said, my wife won't drink enough. Pulse doesn't really drink. His wife doesn't really drink. And I'm not drinking a fifth of vodka and then spending $400 on a tip. So we went in. I had a Bud Light. Michelle had a Bud Light. I had a Red Bull and vodka. And the 2 Bud Lights and the Red Bull and vodka were $85.
Well, here's my question for you.
This is 10 years ago.
No, and that what they sold out probably made $1,000 for whoever took it.
So you went in, you ordered from the bar, you spent money. Did you have a place to sit?
No. Nope. There was no seats if you didn't have a table.
It's so unwelcoming.
And we had a terrible time.
It's so unwelcoming to anybody who doesn't buy a table.
Fiesta was
the most unwelcoming thing in the world.
No, we left.
Yeah.
Brian, we were there an hour and we left because everybody, even me, I was like, this is awesome. Look at the lights. Oh my God, the sound. Oh, this is, but yet I went to a gay bar for 10 years earlier. No, not like 5 years earlier in Miami and watched Danny Tenaglia on top of a booth away from the floor.
Yeah.
Manipulate for 5 straight hours. He played for 12. I only saw 5 of it. He had a packed dance floor, and in those 5 hours, he got on the mic twice. How's everybody doing?
Yay!
An hour and a half later. Man, what a great night. You guys having a good time? That was it. Twice in 5 hours. The dance floor was packed the whole time, throbbing, just playing music, and no one had a phone out. Granted, it was 19 or 2019.
Holy crap. How old are you?
No, the iPhone was out. We didn't take a photo. That's the weird thing. We all had phones. It was in Miami. We took photos at the restaurant because I got a little birthday cake with a candle. But Lars, Pulse, and I never took a photo at the club. We were mesmerized because I'd never seen Danny Tenaglia, and I was mesmerized. He
living in the moment.
Music. Yep. You couldn't tell a mix. I don't care. I bet you my life, anyone in this room, none of you could tell where the mixes were. He was so fluid.
That's cool.
But that's the experience that, to me, is when I think ultimate club night.
Yeah.
Is like you can't tell what's going on, and you're just lost in the sound.
And it didn't happen because you don't have pictures to prove it.
And exactly, we don't have one photo of it.
Today,
it's all right here.
Every single phone commercial you see when they're trying to sell a phone, none of them talk about the phone. They only talk about the camera.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's always been funny to me that it's a computer in your pocket. It's a video. It creates video. You can make video with it. You can shoot a movie with the damn thing. Yeah. A phone is like the most boring feature it has, but they call it a phone.
It's secondary.
Yeah, it's so.
Well, remember back when we were clubbing, the phones got really small. The smaller, the better.
The flip
you can put them in your pocket, and forget about it, and it's not a piece of thing that's around. Now they got really big again.
They went
you would have phones when I was clubbing.
Yeah, we had the flip, the Verizon flip that would flip out. It had a 2.0 megapixel camera. Ooh, like, now it's like, are you kidding me? That's like taking a picture with a potato.
We had phones 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever. But at best, someone would text you and say, "Are you there?" Yeah, we're here. I mean, that was kind of the cool.
My first phone had a screen about this big in 1997.
Yeah,
I think. I didn't know what texting was. I had a pager.
Oh, I didn't hear it until they started coming in.
I got a pager on my hip.
Yep.
No, the cool kids had Nextel, and you would chirp someone.
Oh yeah, walkie-talkie.
That's when you go.
Oh, chirp. Yeah. You're giving me flashbacks.
Holla back, shorty. Woo, woo.
Yeah, that was what we called guys that drove a cement truck.
Those were guys who were delivering AV too, because I hated those damn things in that.
Anyway, I can't find the power.
No, those are the big Nextels. I'm talking about the cool, sleek flip phone Nextels that were.
Well,
those are the cool ones.
Guys, we're only supposed to do a half an hour on this one, or 20 minutes, and we're
a little over
50.
It's good category.
Great conversation.
It is good.
Definitely.
We swore enough that John's not going to put this up.
It's never going to see the light of day, but it was fun. And I'm glad that you guys were all
100 years from now, this will actually show up, and they'll go, "Who are these people? They're geniuses. They're like seeing the future. What we need to find out. We're all long gone.
We're gonna get on like Mount Rushmore. There'll be like a DJ's Mount Rushmore, and we get all our faces carved in stone on some hill somewhere.
You know who else belongs on there?
Disco ball
Our sponsors, Brian. Our sponsors.
DJ Event Planner.
Yeah.
Thank you, DJ Event Planner.
Does this smell like chloroform?
But in DJ Event Planner, our sponsor, just for the record, I wasn't dropping F-bombs tonight. It was other people.
It wasn't me.
But they were. So
I may have said the S word.
You may have. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys.